Let's get ready for rollouts. We're ready to start the final semifinal match. Serving first, currently residing in Tucson, Arizona, by way of Seattle, Washington. Let's welcome the #1 ranked Sean Lenning.
You heard the announcement there from Dan Armijo.
Eight-time national champ from St. Louis. Let's welcome Dave Chapman.
And then that announcement for Dave Chapman. Dave is the current #1 world ranked pro. Sean Lenning is the current USHA ranked pro. And here they are facing each other in this bottom bracket semifinals match. First serve is now underway.
That's Sean's bread and butter, that power serve down the right. So much of Sean's game feeds off of that power serve down the right.
There's a quick point for Dave Chapman. You're tuned into the World of Pro Handball's continued coverage of the 2009 United States Handball Association's 4-wall National Handball Championships live
1-0
from Los Caballeros Sports Village in Fountain Valley, California. 1-0, Dave.
Dave has such a unique style. We've already seen him hit 2 shots in the first 2 points that are completely different than any shots you'll see anybody in this tournament hit.
And then he does that back wall kill shot just a couple inches high. 2-0.
Dave really looks relaxed right now. He's got that calm focus about him. Looks like everything's in slow motion for him.
This is very early on, though. Sean Lenning digs one into the ground there. Now
we saw Sean start so quickly yesterday against Allen. He was up 5-0 before Allen even touched the ball. Here he is serving first, already trailing 4-0 after just 5 rallies. You know, Dave, we've never really discussed, but Dave Chapman took 4 years off from pro handball, 4 years off from handball in general, came back a year ago, and here he is really a favorite to win this national title here in 2009 after not competing in a USHA 4-wall national championship between 2005 to 2007.
Dave Chapman made it to the quarterfinals of the 4-wall national championships last year. Here making it to the semifinals. He is one of the favorites on the bottom bracket. In fact, all 4 semifinalists seem to be favorites in some fashion or another. Sean Lenning finding himself down 0-4 here. Kind of hit that ball a little hard back to Dave. He didn't mean to do that. 4-0.
There's the first mistake from Dave Chapman there, trying to hit a 3-wall wraparound. Missed that right side wall, left that ball off the back wall. Sean took care of it.
The referee is Dan Armijo.
Second serve.
0 serves 4. Wow. Again, just like you said, Dave has started off this game hitting some shots that no other players really have taken up to this point. That being one of them.
4-0.
No matter how many times you play against Dave Chapman, these shots are still baffling. That he's able to hit them with such unbelievable precision and consistency, just letting that ball roll off his hand.
5 serves 0.
That was a tweener.
Saw Dave Chapman kind of taking a little bit off that ceiling punch shot, underhand fist that he took there, because these courts are so fast. Concrete, both walls and the front wall. In fact, I believe there's concrete even on the ceiling.
Dave didn't move up to that ball all that well right there. We'll see if that's a sign of maybe a little bit of fatigue in Dave's legs. He's looked good so far, but that's certainly a ball that you'll normally see Dave get.
As well as that one. That was a skip in from Dave Chapman. First point. Sean is now on the board.
You can't count on too many of those when you're playing Dave Chapman. That's his shot.
Point. He is appealing.
Dave is appealing the short call.
One agrees. One didn't see it. I know. Oh, one disagrees. It's I gotta go with my call. It's a point. I saw it clearly over.
I actually agreed. I thought that ball was about 3 or 4 inches over.
2-6.
2-6.
That was another example of Dave moving a little bit more slowly than we're accustomed to seeing him moving forward. We'll see if he's still getting himself warmed up or if he is a little bit fatigued.
Oh, that ball just kind of reversed out, slid down that left wall. That had to have been some movement that Dave put on that ball going over the top of it.
Big reverse. You expect that ball to pop into that left side wall and give you an opportunity, but it straightens out.
Oh, look at that. A no-look underhand shovel. Dave is feeling really relaxed if he's starting off this game with those type of shots. Either that or, like you said, it's the fatigue of the legs possibly where he's making these shots like that.
Dave forced Sean to commit to the right there. It looked like he was going to hit that. That's an incredible shot there from Dave.
Sean Lenning from Shoreline, Washington. He's a New York Athletic Club sponsored player. 8-2 is the score here. That's a short ball.
Second serve.
Sean's going to have to make adjustments here in this match. This is not so much a case of Sean playing badly. This is Dave executing a game plan and Sean really not having an answer for it at this point. Sean's only earned his points off of 2 Dave Chapman skip-ins. Sean looks a little tight to me right there, Dave. Looks like a little bit of tension crept in. Sean didn't take that extra step to his right there. That's an easy kill shot for him. Not a shot you'll see him miss. We've talked a lot about that, Dave. The strength of Sean's game is he's so relaxed in there. And that, I think that's one of the things that helps him to play so well. Right now, we're not seeing that.
9-2.
We're seeing Sean a little bit tense and now a little bit down on himself. You see that body language right there, Dave. That's not the body language you want to see if you're a Sean Lenning fan. Dave Chapman almost he takes the wind right out of your sails.
Well, you have to imagine Sean Lenning's playing in his practice matches with Luis Moreno or some of these tournaments against Emmett or whomever he plays. The pace of the game is much quicker than this. I mean, Dave is just being very methodical with the way he's taking these shot selections here. It has to be frustrating to a guy like Sean Lenning.
11-2.
I mean, Sean's very passive too, but look at the whole style and mannerisms from Dave Chapman right now. Sean is one of the most feared handball players in the world. All of the players that come up to him always say to us, you know, you never know what to expect from Sean. Dave Chapman, like you said earlier, Dave Chapman also fears what Sean is capable of doing.
Dave Chapman has not given Sean any opportunity to get himself into this match. He's come in with a very precise game plan. He's executing it. Now Sean finds himself trailing 13-2, having already called his second timeout, and he's barely broken a sweat.
He's calling these timeouts more so just to break the momentum.
The crowd here that's packed in is almost stunned, just like we are. We both, Dave, expected an incredibly close match. Not to say that it's not going to be, but to this point, it's been all Dave Chapman.
Play back in. Dan Armijo with the score. 12-2.
I'd like to see Sean step in and take this ball on the rise and either push the ball back down the left wall or push it back down the right without hitting the ceiling. If he lets that ball come off the back wall, very difficult to move Dave out of that front court.
And that's a nice kill shot from Sean Lenning. Maybe this can get him back into the game here. 2 serves 12.
Surprised Dave went with that second serve there. Certainly wants to keep Sean out of his groove.
Wow, that was a nice shot right there, underhand.
Dave hits those cross corners and the ball just dies at a 90-degree right angle. You think you have a shot at it and it's out of your reach.
12-2. Replay.
Dan Armijo reffing here today, Dave. He's got the most experience of
12-2.
any person in this building.
He's also going to bring up that Dave Chapman and Dan Armijo have a history where Dan has refereed a lot of jarring between the two over the years. Friendly banter, they respect each other on and off the court, but there is nothing to argue about with this first game here, but do expect to see something like that happen. Go ahead.
That's the danger there of taking that lob serve back to the ceiling. It's a good shot against every player in the world. Dave Chapman lets the ball hit the back wall about 8 inches high and rolls it out 2 inches high. Let's see if he...
That time Sean let the ball go and it almost ate him up on that deep left wall. It's amazing.
Both of us, Dave, shaking our heads here, as well as all these dozens of people behind us watching on the flat screen.
That's a replay. Got a chance.
Now you hear some rumblings from the crowd there. Dave Chapman grew up down the street, Long Beach, California.
This guy's fast. He can get those. 14-2.
Dan Armijo said that guy's fast, he can get those. Dan knows he's played Sean Lenning about 4 times in recent pro stops. That's a skip in.
Looked like Dave's footwork just a little bit off there.
2-14.
These back walls are very difficult to play. Dave Chapman seems to have no problem, but
Sean Lenning just has to be frustrated right here. He knows what he can do against Dave. You're going to see a different Sean. I could almost guarantee it.
You won't see a different Sean unless he makes some adjustments. If we don't see Sean do something differently with that serve, Dave, this match will continue at the same pace that we're seeing.
Sean's tried 3 or 4 different ways of handling that serve.
Well, you're seeing you hit that ceiling, the ball comes off the back wall, and that's the rally grabber of Dave Chapman. That back wall, anything off the back wall, he's going to take control of the rally and win over 90% of the rallies.
But normally Sean comes in and tries to short hop, fly kill that sort of shot. I've seen him do that earlier in the tournament, but he's just not able to do it here.
You see Sean moving over to cover that shot down the right. That's the first time he's moved over to the right. Dave Chapman seeing it immediately, putting that ball behind him with a hook to his left.
Sean is all out of sorts right now. Timeout called. This is the 3rd timeout for Sean Lenning. Okay, so the possibilities here on that lob serve, Sean Lenning has no answer to what Dave is doing. Is there even a possibility? Should he go back up to the ceiling without coming off the back wall, go for a high wraparound, lob it back, or try to fly kill it or fly cut it off?
Well, you know, what I would prefer is what I see Naughty Jr. started to do late in his career against Dave Chapman. We see Emmett do it successfully. I feel like I'm pretty successful at doing it, although not scoring many points, but taking that ball on the way up and just pushing it either straight back down the right or the left wall or back down the right wall without hitting the ceiling, at least forcing Dave to hit his next shot to the ceiling rather than giving Dave a back wall setup or a fly kill.
So you're trying to force it back to Dave's left with more of a kind of a lob that hits the front wall maybe at about 10 feet below the roof, maybe even lower and with a little bit of pace, but something that doesn't come off.
About 6 feet off the front wall that doesn't come off the back wall, that can't be fly killed.
Sean has an established left. He can do that. 18-2 is the score here.
We're still seeing Sean hang back here.
That wasn't a bad return from Sean, but it took a little luck to have that strange bounce. There it is.
Everyone in the building saw that shot coming, including Sean. You still can't do anything with it. He didn't even hit that ball well. Dave Chapman left that ball 6 inches high in that left corner, still good enough.
It actually looked like, and this is wrong way of assessing it, but it looked sort of like a little hand air in a way, like it popped out of his heel, but it was enough pace that Sean couldn't catch up to it. 19-2 here. There's that fish shot. Sean just gets a hand on it. Chapman mad at himself. I think he could put a little bit more pace on that if he wanted to.
I think he was a little upset that Sean did get a little bit lucky there. Sean just reaching those long arms out and doing enough to.
Sean skipped in there.
I think Sean is shocked right now. Sean came here to win the Nationals. You know, he would never say this, but I think he felt like he was going to take control of this match, really dominate this match with his power. And when you come out anticipating that you're going to come out and really dominate a match, and you find yourself trailing 19-2 just 15 minutes into a match, it's really like you got sucker punched in the stomach. It's hard to even catch your breath. That's the shot that Dave Chapman fears, one of the shots in Sean Lenning's arsenal where he can take that ball from shoulder height from 30 feet and roll it out.
The only weakness I can see with Dave today is the fact that from back to front, he's a little slow. And that could be from the knees or some fatigue, like you say. Sean could use those corners and maybe force Dave to try to run front to back. Unless you do stuff like that, I guess it doesn't really matter. Sean also looks sluggish side to side, so.
Sean's looking for this game to be over. He overcommitted to that left very easy 2-all pass for Dave.
19-3 is the score here. First game. Winner of this match plays Paul Brady in the finals tomorrow.
As silly as it sounds, Dave, even Sean trailing 20-3 here still needs to make Dave Chapman work. Even if he can earn a few side outs and just a few points, there's no difference in losing 21-5 or 21-6. If you can take just a little bit of energy away from Dave, you find yourself in a close second game, potentially in a tiebreaker. Those 2 or 3 runs that you put Dave Chapman through could pay off.
That's a good call. Certainly
doesn't feel that way when you're trailing 20-3, but
right.
It's.
Here it is. This is game point. 20 serves 3. And there it is, 21. And if you're Paul Brady at home or at the hotel right now watching this, not necessarily be scared, but you're hoping that Sean Lenning is going to force Dave to run around a little bit.
We joke about being scared. Paul Brady is our 4-time defending champion. He is the #1 player in the world right now. Not in our rankings or the USHA rankings, but he's won everything that you can win.
I agree with you. You know, Paul just doesn't get scared that often. He's obviously been here 5 straight years. Okay, so you're looking at Dave Chapman in this first game. Sean Lenning, you know, is going to come out on fire in game number 2. He's going to have to try harder, pick up his game. That's the only thing he can do is just apply himself a little bit more.
I think that's a big misconception here from everybody watching. You tend to think that he's not trying because Dave Chapman is just completely dominating the match. You know, sometimes you're doing the best you can and it just looks like you're not even moving.
We thank you for tuning in to the 2009 United States Handball Association's 4-Wall National Championships from Los Caballeros Sports Village, Fountain Valley, California, alongside Dave Fink. My name is Dave Vincent. If you like what you see, become a member of the United States Handball Association today. Member benefits include a subscription to the Handball magazine, discounts on all USHA handball gloves, balls, gear, and the opportunity to play in all USHA sanctioned tournaments and so much more. Just go to ushandball.org to become a member today. And next year, we could be watching you on this webcast. United States Handball Association, Southern California Handball Association teaming up to put on the best hospitality, the best tournament that I've seen in so long. And of course, providing the feed here for these great pro matches that you're watching on the show court, whether it's the women's pros, the men's pros, or even some of the age divisions. United States Handball Association coming through to help out with bringing this audio and video to your homes, your PCs, your Macs, wherever you are. We do appreciate you tuning in at ushandball.org. In the first semifinals match of the day, it was Paul Brady defeating Luis Moreno 21-8, 21-8. Sean Lenning only scoring 3 points in the bottom bracket semifinal first game versus Dave Chapman. 21-3 is the score there, closing out that first game with a bunch of lob serves and just keeping Sean Lenning off pace as we get ready for game number 2 coming up right around the corner. We're going to take a very quick timeout, and we'll be back in just a few minutes from Los Caballeros Sports Village in Fountain Valley, California. My name is Dave Vincent for Dave Fink. You stick with us at ushandball.org.
Testing. Good.
We are back from the show courts at Los Caballeros Sports Village, Fountain Valley, California. Live webcast from the WPH of the 2009 United States Handball Association's 4-wall National Handball Championships. 0-serve-0 in the broadcast booth. Dave Fink and yours truly, Dave Vincent, for Jeff Kastner and Gene Kazumoto, as well as Kelly Green on the camera work.
That's a terrible start for Sean Lenning. Dave makes a big mistake on that lob serve, hits that left side wall. Sean has an easy right-hand setup and puts it in the ground. Not an auspicious start there for Sean Lenning.
Sean trying to pump himself up here, rightly so.
That's a ball Sean should get to easily, but when you're deflated, you don't move as well. Has nothing to do with not wanting to try as hard. He's trying his best. But
I'm inflated and I don't move well, so I can understand. I just don't know what to say, Dave. We're both in awe here. We've not really seen Sean play like this. 4-serve-0, second game.
I'm going to give all the credit to Dave Chapman. Dave Chapman has picked apart Sean Lenning here. He's come in with a game plan.
This might get overturned. 5-serve-0, it doesn't.
You talked about Sean coming out a different player. I told you, Dave Vincent, that if he didn't make adjustments, it was going to be the same second game as we saw in the first game. And we're seeing that right now.
6-serve-0. Oh, that was a missed serve from Dave Chapman. And the applause from the crowd.
That's a really bad serve there from Sean. That ball popped out, gave Dave about a 25-foot setup with his right hand off the back wall. You know, we talked about Sean feeding so much off of his serve. That's really the foundation of his game. But when you're not getting in the server's box and you find yourself in the server's box trailing 0-6 or 2-15, very hard to get into any kind of rhythm, any kind of confidence with that serve. Very interesting refereeing there from our referee, Dan Armijo. These guys playing literally on each other's hip, and he let the play continue. I actually happen to agree with him. You'll see so many refs sort of jump the gun and call that early hinder. You were watching that action, Dave Vincent. Very interesting. That takes a veteran referee to allow that play to continue.
You have no complaining from the players, though.
They like it. They like that close play. They both are playing close intentionally, and they both want their shots.
1-6. Sean left that up. Has to be completely frustrated with himself. He gets the opportunity to serve, and then he leaves up a big setup off the back wall. 6-1 here.
You know, Dave, you talk to a lot of the handball enthusiasts and handball fans, handball historians here at the club that come to the Nationals year after year, and a lot of people ask me, where do you rank Dave Chapman's level of play now as compared to where he was before he left? And I told them, you know, in brief glimpses, you know, for one match or two matches, you'll see the vintage Dave Chapman, the Dave Chapman of old. But, you know, sometimes if he has to play day after day, you know, you won't see that same guy. The recovery time, maybe not quite as good, but Dave Chapman now playing better each day. We saw him struggle in his first round against young John Iglesias. Actually pulled one out 21-20. He played extremely well yesterday against me, and he's playing even better today. You know, you have to credit a lot of that to him playing every tournament that's been held thus far this year. He's played 25 tournaments in the last year. He's brought his personal trainer with him, Justin Gabazi, who's helped him out a lot. And it just seems like, you know, he's really gotten himself fit to peak for this event.
Right, you know, last year when he talked about that, he said, I will be in the finals next year at the Nationals, and he guaranteed that he would be. He also did something that a lot of the other players wouldn't have done, is that he decided to dedicate himself to going to every single handball tournament, every exhibition he can possibly play in, and was probably on the court more than any other handball player in the whole world, not just a competing handball player. But imagine, he's done all these clinics, he's went to Vegas, he's flying up to Canada and Alaska, and he's actually committed himself to play handball on a regular schedule. And that's the difference. He's actually trying to shake that 4-year layoff that he had, and he's doing it all in 12 months.
He's crammed 4 years of handball into one, so maybe that explains this incredible resurgence from the great one.
7-1.
That's a great get there from Sean. Sean actually flipping that pass down the left into the back wall, kept himself alive in the point and won the point. Could be, you know, the sort of point that can get Sean started here. Sometimes that's what you need.
Oh, there's a good serve right there from Sean. Goes to that corner. That's how handball is supposed to be played. You get a weaker return, you go to that corner, pin your opponent behind you, get that free point. Serve and shoot. That's what Sean does best. 2-7.
There's a bad serve again. And Dave throws that reverse on that ball. Sean not reading that reverse, I'm surprised. Sean's played Dave 5 or 6 times this year. You would think he'd be prepared to see that reverse.
And that's just what Dave does. It's not like he's trying to fool you. I mean, I guess he is, but I mean, you know he's going to go over there and reverse it.
Particularly that deep in the court. If he hits a natural deep in the court, he knows that ball's going to pop out. He might hit a natural that lands around the service line.
This ball's fat. That's a mistake from Dave Chapman.
Can't feel good for Sean Lenning to earn his side outs on Dave Chapman mistakes. He wants to get his game going and impose himself here on Dave.
That was your only shot. It went right down the line. You couldn't get there before that. Point.
Dave Chapman can't argue with that. Dan Armijo
that was a good
gave the perfect answer.
You can't say that you weren't screened because you wouldn't have got to it during the time where you were screened. That was a good call from Danny. Now Sean is on a slight roll here.
Thought we might see a timeout there from Dave. We actually saw Dave take a shot that you don't see him take much. He tried to kill that ball in the left corner.
That was a nice natural hop from Sean Lenning on that serve. And if Sean scores another point, Dave will take a timeout and should take one here, no?
What's amazing here, Dave, is that point at 7-1, Dave Chapman was controlling, passed Sean down the left. Sean dove into the back wall, flipped that ball into the back wall, the front wall, kept the point alive, and ended up winning the point, earned the side out. Here he scored 4 consecutive points. He doesn't flip that ball into the back wall and keep that point alive with tremendous hustle. He finds himself trailing 8-1 and on his way to a potentially another lopsided game. So the momentum can shift just that quickly in these top-level pro matches.
Sean Lenning, the #2 seed, got here by defeating Chip Morales 21-1, 21-9 in the round of 16, his quarterfinal match versus one of his biggest foes, the blonde bombshell, Alan Garner. Went in way of Sean Lenning, 21-6, 21-18. Dave Chapman defeated you yesterday, 21-7, 21-8, and the previous day in the round of 16 against John Iglesias, 21-10, and the nail biter there, 21-20 in that second game.
You saw who just walked behind Dave Chapman during that timeout, hydrating himself, Paul Brady. Paul Brady's checking out the action here, potentially doing some scouting.
We thought that he'd be back at the hotel room stretching, and that's a beautiful serve from Sean Lenning. This is going to turn out to be an exciting game here. 6-7. Now Sean Lenning would like to tell everybody that this is where he wants to start game #1.
Well, the good thing now for Sean is that he's certainly fresh. Didn't expend too much energy there in the first game,
but neither did Dave Chapman. These serves right here from Sean are on target. We'll just see how.
I like that shot there from Sean Lenning. Pounding that ball down the left. All of a sudden, Dave looking a little bit ordinary right now. Sean starting to put something on the ball, and Dave not quite as precise, not nearly as comfortable. He's actually being rushed. He's hitting some balls off balance now. We didn't see him hit any balls off balance in that first game.
It looks as if Sean has a purpose right now, as opposed to the way it looked in the first game and even for the first part of the second game. But the big test is, what is Sean going to do against that lob serve of Dave Chapman's? I mean, all this looks good right now while he's serving, but what happens when he's retrieving? That's where he made all those mistakes.
He's got the right idea now, which is to not let Dave serve.
7-7. That's a good serve right there. Now Sean Lenning looks like the Sean Lenning of the U.S. Open finals the last 2 years. The Sean Lenning we've grown to know and love. 8-7. Oh, look at that hop.
Everything's going Sean's way now. We saw really everything go Dave's way in that first game. Right now, Sean has got all of the momentum. I'd be surprised if Dave didn't take another timeout right here after this point, should he lose it.
I agree with Dave Chapman on this. I thought it was short by an inch.
It's just one screen.
Surprised to see a screen call when Sean serves down the right.
Well, there's that short call that Dave Chapman wanted. That ball hit Dave Chapman on the way in. Nope, broke the ball. That is now the 10th broken ball from the quarterfinals to today in the men's pro division. That's what happens when you have these concrete walls and hard hitters.
This is a big advantage to Sean here. Sean loves to serve with that new ball, especially when he's feeling it. This could be a good break here for Sean. I've seen Sean go on 6 or 7 point ace streaks with a new ball in the middle of a match.
This also works out in a slight way for Dave Chapman, who gets to have a nice breather of warming up his torn rotator cuff there.
Are we starting the match over here? I mean, we see guys in here both throwing a ball around.
This actually is an extended timeout for Dave Chapman.
Broken ball replay.
9-7. 9-7 is the score. We apologize about the smudge marks on the back wall. They're actually embedded in that back wall. It's not any type of solution or even simple green that can pull that off that back wall. That grease forming or dissolving agent of simple green. It's actually from racquetball rackets slicing the back wall there. So we apologize about that. So if you see that at home and are wondering what that's all about,
Sean really starting to move well now in the front court. He picked up a nice retrieve there, unable to pick up that last kill from Dave.
7 serves 9. Here's that real test. See what Sean does with this return here. Make that 8-9 now. Second game, Sean Lenning scored 3 in the first.
8-9.
Nice shot right there from Chapman. Sean Lenning smacks the back wall. Big setup for Dave. Wow. That was
just froze him there.
That was a small window. He only had 5 feet. He happened to slice that ball right through that area. Sean decided to engage with Dave Chapman with that ceiling game there. Together at 9.
Beautiful hop there from Dave off the back wall. We talked about Dave throwing a lot of reverses off the back wall. That time he throws a natural. He landed that ball a little bit shorter in the court, hopped that ball into the left side wall.
10 serves 9. Game number 2. Wow. That's a good replay right there from Dan. Sean actually got a hand on it. I thought originally when Dave hit that was a perfect shot. You actually disagree with me. You think it is a perfect shot, but it should be no replay.
Dave doesn't seem to disagree, but it looked like Sean almost ran into Dave on his follow-through on his way to that ball. You can't penalize Dave for Sean putting himself in a bad position on the court.
I agree with that.
And if Sean's going to put himself behind Dave to his left, he can't expect a clear path to that ball down the right, and you can't give him that.
On the other side of that, if he actually ran through Dave and cut his legs out and hurt him as a player on that court, then the referee's going to have to call something. That's a mishit from Dave.
It's a great second serve from Sean. Hit that deep crack on the left side wall. Dave did well just to get that ball back in play.
10 serves 10.
Short. Second serve.
This game's going to go all the way to 21.
They're not going to stop at 17.
Point.
We've seen Dave skip several re-kill attempts in the front court, well in front of that short line.
I got to save my arm for doubles, so you get the towel. All right.
You heard Dan Armijo tell somebody out in the gallery that he's saving himself for the double, so they have to get the towel. He's not going to throw it in. He doesn't want to hurt his arm. I think we should just have a microphone, a hidden microphone on Dan Armijo throughout the tournament
11-10.
at all times.
Side out.
Sean tried to force that a little bit on the right side.
Dave blast that ball down the left at about
10-11.
chest height. Very difficult to shoot that ball.
Slide balls. 11-10. 10-11. Sorry.
It's like Dave has come out a little bit on that lob serve. Sean is just not handling that serve from Dave right at this moment.
It's been Sean's biggest problem, particularly here in this second game. We have a glove change here.
2 minutes. Score is 11-all.
11 serves 11. First game went to Dave Chapman, 21-3. Sean Lenning was all out of sorts. He also was out of sorts to start this game, down 7-1, but now we're all tied at 11. He scored 10 to Dave Chapman's 4. And it's all been set up by that nice serve of his. In fact, he's camping out near the short line and doing a lot of up-front play.
That's where Sean likes to be. He likes to control that center court, take a lot of balls out of the air. Also very proficient with the short hop.
11-up.
And Dave, as you know, you play doubles with him. It seems like he can reach just about every ball when he's up there in that front court.
It's as if he's playing 3-wall in a 4-wall court where he wants to camp up there and just cut everything off, and he's so dangerous. If you like what you see, become a member of the United States Handball Association today online at ushandball.org. Become a member, and possibly we could be watching you on a webcast in upcoming years. Get inspired. Their magazine, their online web store. Buy merchandise, balls, hats, gear, goggles. It's all online at ushandball.org. In the broadcast booth, Dave Fink, who was in the tournament. You lost in the quarterfinals. Is that the furthest that you've made in the 4-wall national championship, is the quarters?
Actually, yes, it is.
And that's just in the pro division, but of course you've won multiple national championships in the junior ranks.
Television timeout is over.
And you've made the finals 2 years in a row in Canada's national tournament. Plus you have a real sexy voice, and you're very appealing in this booth with your verbiage. So that's why we've got you here.
Okay, 11 serves 11.
11 serves 11. That was a good return from Sean.
You could see that shot coming, hit it perfectly.
Point.
You see a lot of players try that shot.
12-11.
12 serves 11. A lot of players try that shot. You didn't finish your sentence. They try it, but they don't execute it like Dave Chapman does.
They leave that ball up. Very hard to take the ball from your shoulder height
11-12.
and roll that ball out.
Nice serve from Sean. That breaks away. Sean going usually back to that corner, that right side corner, but that time he went right in front of himself.
11-12.
11 serves 12.
Short.
And like you said, Paul Brady is actually in the gallery watching this match courtside. He gets to scope out the finals opponent.
Beautiful shot there from Sean. He took that ball right on the wall. You could see how he changed his swing to avoid swiping that wall.
12. Short. Second serve. Point.
Not a great shot there from Sean, but good enough to win the point. Looked like he was trying to drive that ball down the right. Hit it right down the middle, but hard enough to where Dave couldn't handle it.
13-12. Point.
Dave had a couple of opportunities there, starting with that return of serve. Unable to capitalize.
14-12. second serve.
Great playing from Sean Lenning.
Dave Chapman's going to, okay, there it is. I thought he was going to take a timeout there. Said he gets a glove change. 15-12 will be the score when they get back into the court in 2 minutes from now. Okay, we're seeing a momentum change here with Sean Lenning. Not necessarily that he's recharged or revamped his style in there, but it seems like his, I don't know, maybe his something, his mojo just got recharged. A
lot of it has to do with Dave Chapman losing about 10 to 15% of his legs. Dave's not moving quite as well as he was. He's not getting quite the same action on the balls. We haven't seen the reverse quite as sharp off the back wall. We haven't seen that right fist that he likes to hit down the left quite as precise. He's not able to run that ball down the walls quite as well because he's not getting himself in as good a position. And also we're seeing Sean Lenning play a lot better. Sean Lenning gaining confidence by earning some of these setups and also by maintaining his ability to stay in these rallies. We saw a lot of those rallies were 2 or 3 shots in that first game. Sean Lenning never really able to get his teeth into this match. Right now he's able to make some retrieves and really feel like he's engaged in this match.
So what does Dave Chapman now have to do in order to take some of that out of Sean Lenning? I mean, he was doing it so well for about 30 points, and then all of a sudden it just went away.
Dave Chapman is a master of conserving his energy. I think he knows exactly how much energy he needs. He knows he needs 9 points to win this match. He's got 12 right now. Sean's got 15.
So he needs to beat Sean by the score of 9-6 from this point on.
It's all going to start with Dave's service return. Sean here on a roll serving. He has given Dave some setups though, and Dave hasn't been able to execute his shots thus far here in the middle of the second game.
You are watching the 4-Wall National Handball Championships brought to you by the United States Handball Association. Men's semifinals, Paul Brady defeats Luis Moreno 21-8, 21-8. Dave Chapman defeats Sean Lenning in the first of this semifinals match 21-3. As we get back into the court, ready for action after a 2-minute glove change.
All right, let's resume. 15 serves 12.
15 serves 12. That was a nice camera angle right there. Now make that 16-12. Sean's putting the pressure on Dave here. Dave was off balance for about 3 of those shots that he hit.
Dave had a chance to win that rally there with that left fist down the right. Unable to put enough pace on it or enough hook on that ball to straighten that ball out down the right side wall. That ball popped into the right side wall and let Sean stay in the rally.
$16-12.
16-12.
Bad bounce.
Neither player disagrees. Hard for us to see that.
16-12.
Another diving return from Dave. Hindered for most of that flight of that ball. Wow, Dave got his hand on that. That was remarkable. The ball looked like it even slid too. There's certain spots on that left wall that slide every time the ball hits it, and other spots where it checks up.
16-12.
Well, Sean hit that with a fist, so it's going to react a little differently off that side wall.
Point.
You heard Dan Armijo say skip and then point. 17-12 now.
17-12.
Sean 4 points away from forcing a tiebreaker.
You have to wonder now if Dave's thinking about letting this game go and saving his energy for the tiebreaker.
Chapman, 1 minute.
Dave did not move well to that ball. That was a routine right fist kill for Dave up in that right corner. Just about a half a step slow getting up to that ball, and as a result, Mishits it, put it in the ground. Let Sean get away with a pretty poor miss into that right corner.
Now it seems as if the crowd is in awe the other way around, as they were when Sean Lenning was down and not playing good ball in that first part of that game. Now, Dave, you see the crowd also kind of sitting here going, what is going on now with Dave Chapman? There's sort of a quiet rumble in there. Part of the emotional roller coaster that a top match like this will bring.
Okay, time in. 18-12.
18 serves 12. We've seen Dave Chapman come back from big lopsided moments like this. In Alaska against Nadi Alvarado Jr., he came back. It's now 19-12. Sean Lenning 2 points away
19-12.
from forcing a tiebreaker.
That's short.
Be surprised if Dave exerts himself too much. He doesn't have much to gain here. He will be serving first here in the tiebreaker. Be surprised to see him use up any more energy here.
That ball just right on the line there.
He's appealing the serve. Both agree. That's game 2.
There it is, 21-12. Now going to Sean Lenning, forcing the tiebreaker.
Sean actually outscoring Dave 20-5 there in the end of that second game after being outscored 28-6.
Do we have a calculator here? Yeah, you're right. It was absolutely amazing there. 29-6 maybe, 28-6. Yeah, you're right.
So we see a 28-6 run for Dave Chapman, followed by a 20-5 run for Sean Lenning.
It's remarkable. Well, we're going to find out what happens here as the drama unfolds from the Los Caballeros Sports Village, Fountain Valley, California. Men's semifinals match. Paul Brady in the first upper bracket match today defeated Luis Moreno 21-8, 21-8. And then we saw that lopsided first game here in this second semifinals when Dave Chapman defeated Sean Lenning 21-3. Then coming back, Sean Lenning did in that game number 2 after being down 7-1. He mounts a nice comeback. Seemed like he started applying himself a little bit more. Scored 21 points. Dave Chapman only getting 12 after jumping out to that 7-point lead there. Now we're forcing the action into a tiebreaker situation. Paul Brady sitting courtside watching all of the action unfold too as he scopes out his next round opponent in the finals tomorrow. We're going to take a quick break. For Jeff Castor in the production booth, Kelly Green on the camera, Gene Kasamoto, our statistician, and Dave Fink. I'll be back. My name is Dave Vincent in just a few. UShandball.org. heard the score there, 0 serve 0. This is the tiebreaker, Dave.
People don't realize just how difficult that get is from Sean Lenning.
Dave Chapman is one of the very best tiebreaker players out there.
You see Dave just a half a step slow there to move up to that ball. That's a ball you'll see him paddle into that left corner with ease, generally, unable to get his footwork.
0-0. Point.
One serve 0. There's another great serve from Sean Lenning.
This is what we talked about at the beginning of this match, Dave. Sean's game feeds off of his serve. Dave Chapman sensing that momentum shifting quickly, doesn't wait for 3 points, calls a timeout at 2-0 here in this tiebreaker. Sean with 2 bullets down the right. That is his favorite serve. That last one in particular was a missile. Straight down that right wall, about 92 miles per hour.
It looked like it also hopped away, a little slight reverse. Ball kind of breaking into the sidewall at the very last moment. Dave had to dive in. The score is going to be 2-0 when we get back in here. Dave Chapman looks like he's lost, like you said earlier, 15% of his legs. Looks like about 30% is gone. I don't know if it's necessarily fatigue or just...
We've seen Dave win in this state this year a number of times. Sean Lenning playing great handball right now. Very aggressive, incredibly powerful. We'll see if he sticks with this serve down the right.
Nice serve again from Sean Lenning.
Dave having to hit the deck just to return these serves.
2 serve 0. Wow, nice get from Sean Lenning. That was remarkable, and it could have been an avoidable hinder. Boy, those two players back and forth right there. Sean's get in the front wall is one of the best I've seen in a long time. The ball broke.
Got bailed out by a broken ball.
Dan Armia knows that was a potentially controversial call. Won't have to be dissected because that ball broke.
That was amazing right there.
My call is broken ball.
I think that's the 3rd broken ball of this match. The 3rd one.
Actually, Gene Casimoto just handing us our note. That is our 4th broken ball of this match.
We had 2 in the earlier semifinal match between Paul Brady and Luis Moreno. One that only lasted about 2 points.
2-0.
2 serve 0. That kind of woke up the crowd. Another tough return for Dave Chapman.
Second serve.
Sean stays with that.
Sean is doing everything right now. Dave, he has the touch still, but Sean's able to.
That's a ball we didn't see Sean get in the first game. That was a great shot from Dave Chapman.
3-0.
3 serve 0. Wow, that's a shot Sean's been making.
That's Sean's shot right there. He'll take that shot every time.
Changing his serve right here. Dave going away from the lob.
Hold it. Hit him here. Hit right here. Popped up. He can feel. It hit right here. It popped up. I was
I agree with Sean.
Sean's right.
Sean stopped his swing as soon as he heard Dan Armijo. There actually is just a slight crack in that back wall, just on that right corner. I remember in my tiebreaker with Armando Ortiz at 5-5, Armando hitting a ceiling shot that I thought was going to come out. Ball took a strange bounce.
Dan called the score wrong. Should be 0-3. There it is.
0-3.
Beautiful. Deep two-wall crack right there. He's going for that shot. That's a risky shot there to catch the crack that low, because if you don't catch that crack, that ball pops up, gives Sean a big setup.
1 serves 3. This is the tiebreaker. Ooh, Sean thought about it. You see Dave keeping Sean in the back part of the court here. Sean's been camping out near the short line.
Dave fortunate that Sean's missed 2 of these last 3 kill shot attempts. Those are shots that Sean's going to make vast majority of the time.
This is a setup for Sean.
Sean fortunate there. Had a very easy setup. It's one of those where you have so much time to think about it that it's hard to hit a good shot. That ball just hung there for about 4 or 5 seconds.
3-2. Second serve.
The score is 3-2. Second serve. Sean is very creative up there.
Wow, that's a great shot there from Sean Lenning. Very difficult shot.
The score is 4-2. Try to call the score after every play ends.
Here's the setup for Sean.
You'd have to think that Paul Brady is fairly happy right now that this one is going to go to, is in the tiebreaker, regardless of who he plays. Wow. Now, like you said earlier, Sean was making all of those all the way up to this point. From midway through that second game up to this point, he's been making those, and then all of a sudden 3 missed kill shot attempts.
Looked like Sean just taking his eye off the ball just a little bit, just at the last second, pulling his head out of that shot. Saw him miss hit about 3 kill shot attempts here in the last 5 rallies.
Okay, let's play. I don't have any. 2 serves 4.
2 serves 4.
We're not sure what they were discussing right there.
I thought it was something to do with Sean's gloves being wet. That skipped in. Dave was right on that. You can't get any closer than that, Dave.
That was surprising. Sean put the pressure on him, though. He put himself up in that front court. He put himself in a great position. Dave sensed in there. Dave knew he had to hit that ball about an inch high to win the rally.
Sean missing again. That's the 4th one that he's missed now.
This is a very difficult back ball to play off. We've talked about that. It's almost like there's a blind spot there. You lose it for that split second, and you try and pick it up again.
We'll talk about that really quickly here. You've played in this court a lot. It's so dark back there that when you look as a player back into the gallery, you see the reflection of your existence. So sometimes you just lose the ball because you see 2 different balls flying at the same time. One your reflection, one that's the real ball. Sean upset with himself there.
Dave actually unable to put enough on his kill shots to put the ball away. He's winning all of his points on Sean Lenning mistakes and pass shots. Finally able to force Sean into the left front side of the court and pass him down the right there with that right fist.
Finally, Sean gets that glove change that he was lobbying for earlier with referee Dan Armijo. You're watching the men's semifinal match. This is the tiebreaker. Sean Lenning loses the first one, 21-3, comes back, has a really nice comeback in game number 2 after being down 7-1. Dave Chapman only scores 5 more points after that. Sean Lenning forcing the tiebreaker. And now here, Dave Chapman serving at 3-4 in the 2-minute glove change. In the broadcast booth, we have Dave Fink, yours truly, Dave Vincent. Want to say thanks to Kelly Green operating the camera, courtside, Jeff Kastner in the production studio. This is the United States Handball Association's 4-wall National Handball Championships Men's Pro Division semifinals from Los Caballeros Sports Village in Fountain Valley, California. 59th USHA 4-wall Handball Classic. 59 of these babies have been held. Very rich tradition here. Three serves 4. We're going to 11.
This could become one of the instant classics in the annals of the USHA 4-wall National Championships. We really have no idea, Dave, who's going to come out on top here and play Paul Brady in the final.
That was a punch fist from Dave. Sean was eaten up just a little bit on that. No, we've seen him actually get tied up like that and still roll the ball out because he has those great hands. He's just missing by 1 or 2 inches here on the tiebreaker.
Well, you know, Sean is not hitting the ball that cleanly right now. He's mishit a number of shots with his right hand in this tiebreaker. He could very easily be leading this tiebreaker by a wide margin.
That ball skipped on the floor.
Check the ball, check your glove.
Looks like Sean might be rushing his swing a little bit, particularly up in the front court and off the back wall. Maybe trying to swing a little bit too hard. You'll see a lot of mishits, Dave, as you know, when you try and put a little bit more on that ball.
Now, we've seen Sean play in some of these real tight matches like this where you know that he has nerves. One going back to the semifinals of the 07 Nationals against Tony Healy when he defeated Tony to go into the finals of that year. That was a very tense match for him. He had a lot of emotion. Then we saw at the U.S. Open in 07 and 08. You know that Sean is, has had this experience, but Dave really hasn't had this type of experience for the last 4 years because of his absence. Again, Sean missing by 1 inch.
That's a very high-risk shot there from Sean Lenning. He tried to hit a wide left corner kill with his right hand from about 5 feet from the left side wall. Very, very little margin for error on that shot. Dave Chapman leading 5-4 here.
Oh, wow.
Sean's got to maintain his focus here. Looks like he's getting a little bit involved with the crowd there.
6 serves 4. Sean feeling the pressure slightly from Dave here. Wow. Now, what do you think just happened there, Dave? I mean, he was definitely screened.
It was a screen and a hinder. No. Sean's got to take a timeout here and compose himself. That's a very difficult call to handle at this point in the tiebreaker.
Sean has a great argument right here. I mean, Dan Armijo is saying that Dave Chapman put that ball away, but the ball went underneath Sean's hand. He swung and whiffed at it.
Sean was screened initially and then hindered. Could have had either of those calls, should have had both.
Now you have to put this behind you now and focus on the next. How do you even do that? I know I'm asking the wrong guy, but how do you do it? I know I can't do it. 7 serves 4 now. That's a huge point for Dave Chapman. And then a rollout from Sean Lenning.
I think we're all happy to see that after that bad call that Sean just suffered.
4 serve 7. Sean's not going to go away.
Sean's got to remember, even though he's not playing his best right now thus far in the tiebreaker, he's 7 points from an appearance in the finals here.
His second national finals, if he can get those points. Oh, that ball had a crazy bounce back there and forces a side out.
I think Dave will tell you that was a lucky break right there. Looked like that ball was going to pop out. I think he was trying to hit that ball 2 walls.
Look how many people are watching this match courtside and out in the lobby, Dave.
The electricity is incredible here at Los Cab.
Wow. Again, Sean goes for that dig. Another point for Dave Chapman.
Believe me, Dave Chapman understands more than anyone the pressure Sean Lenning is feeling right now, and he knows he doesn't have to hit perfect kills. He's going to let Sean make a couple of mistakes. We've already seen Sean make 4 or 5 mistakes. We've seen him impatient with a couple of balls that he tried to take on the rise with his right hand, fouled both of them, and now Dave finds himself leading 8-4, having not really played his best ball here in the tiebreaker.
The score at one point here was 4-1 in favor of Sean Lenning, and it looked like he's had all the momentum leading back to that second game, really outscoring Dave total, like you said, probably 25-2. And what has Dave done, or is it really what Sean's done here in the tiebreaker?
I think Dave understands that he doesn't have his legs right now. He's not going for those back wall kills. He's not going for those, you know, incredible dump shot kills. He's actually letting Sean sort of self-destruct almost. He's putting Sean deep in the court, forcing Sean to take shots from deep in the court, and we've seen Sean miss a couple and get frustrated. There's another one. That's a huge error there from Sean Lenning.
9-4 is the score here. I cannot believe I just saw that from Sean.
Well, we saw a lot of that in the first game.
Yeah, you see Dave's back to that lob serve, too. I thought that ball was going to slide in that deep left. It just hung in there. That's one of those typical Sean Lenning shots that we've grown to know and love. Forcing the side out.
That was a clutch shot there from Sean Lenning. Great ball.
4 serves 9. First one to 11 goes to the finals. Ball
Dave
must have
Chapman
slid.
calling his own hinders, apparently.
4 serves 9. It might have been so obvious. Maybe we didn't pick it up on the screen here. Oh, Dave went the wrong way. He normally doesn't do that. Sean just punched that ball back down the left.
Well, that ball looked like it was going to catch that left side wall and pop out towards the center of the court. It actually rode that left side wall and straightened out. That's one of the things you talked about earlier, Dave. When that ball hits that left side wall, sometimes it slides, sometimes it grabs. You're never really sure. You're not going to call a slide ball on a shot like that.
The score is 5-9. Sean Lenning not going away.
Certainly you have to think about that back wall shot Sean Lenning rolled out at 4-9. Took that ball from about 2 feet from the left wall, got his right hand on it and rolled it out about an inch high.
Down the right wall here.
Check the ball.
Sean was getting some good ace-type serves earlier. Dave was retrieving them down this right wall. Let's see if he can locate that serve again. 5-9. Wow, and he got it. Like you said earlier, he's been doing some drive shots, but he was so deep back there, kind of lost his back foot.
That back wall was still vibrating as that ball came off the back wall from Sean running into it. Dave undeterred.
9-5.
9 serves 5. This is going to be pretty hot. Nope. It's a late call.
I guess all you have to do is just throw your hands up, and then the play can stop.
Well, you throw your hands up on every shot, so it wouldn't necessarily work for you. I thought the ball was initially a screen, but then no call from the referee.
What you don't want to do is swing and miss when it's an obvious hitter. Just throw up your hands.
Oh. That's a rare skip in from Dave Chapman. At 9 points, that would have forced, that would have been a 10-9. He would have been actually serving to win.
Smart shot there from Sean.
I guarantee if Sean Lenning scores one more point here, the crowd's going to go nuts. 6-9.
6-9 now. Short.
We'll see if Sean goes to that 2-wall serve off the left side wall. Dave's really had no trouble with that second serve off the left side wall.
Back to the ceiling again. That's the third one. There it is. Nice shot from Dave Chapman, forcing the side out here.
See how close to his body Dave hit that ball and just shoveled that ball down the right.
9 serve 6. Going to 11. Winner is in the finals to face the gunner from Ireland.
Big mistake there from Dave on that. Dave really played close to him there. Sean still executing that shot, but what set that point up was Dave hitting a really poor lob serve that came out about 5 feet from the left side wall. Sean put his right hand on that ball.
That should be an avoidable, huh?
Yes.
I mean, Sean didn't move at all. Dave was taking a shot.
You went by him and then you backed up into him.
Should have been a no call. Dave wants that shot even with that contact.
Now the crowd is booing at the ref. And Sean gets a crack. Good return, though, from Dave.
Tremendous.
Wow. Dave just has the hand in that front court. What else can you say? That was a laser, too. He actually hit that one harder than normal.
That ball hit that crotch, and he was aiming for that left corner, and it kind of hit the sidewall and front wall at the same time and just kind of came straight out at a 45-degree angle.
It bounced about 6 times before Sean got to it, though.
Surprised they're not wiping the floor. Dave dove to return that serve up in the
9-6
right.
here. Dave has not been able to score.
That's frustrating for Dave there. He's got a big setup there. An awkward bounce, but still he had the right corner. He had straight down the right, and he could have passed Sean 2-wall down the left.
Sean is not going away here. Dave has had multiple opportunities, and
That's
there's another one.
That's one of the best shots Dave's hit all match right there.
Could be a timeout here. There it is. This is
I don't know if we can get a replay on that, but Dave Chapman stayed with that ball. That ball popped around, still had to hit that from about 38 feet. Put that the exact height with the right hop on that ball to get it past Sean.
You're watching the 4-wall National Handball Championships, brought to you by the United States Handball Association. Here at the Los Caballeros Sports Village, Fountain Valley, California. You're thinking Fountain Valley, I don't know if I've heard of that town before, but just think new, let's think of Huntington Beach maybe. Dog Beach, that's a popular place for you, right? Just south of Los Angeles, just a little bit, north of San Diego.
So popular, I've never heard of it.
Okay, maybe my points of reference just aren't good enough for you.
We're about 10 minutes south of Long Beach.
Okay, all right. That's where we're at on a map.
Hometown of Dave Chapman.
Play is back in. 9 serve 6. That's another slide up there. That's happened a couple times in a row now where they're wrapping around and the ball's sliding up high on that right wall. I don't think our towel wipey guy is going to be able to get up there about 18 feet on that top right wall.
9-6 again.
Yeah, that is actually an official word, wipey. You might want to look that up. Ooh, no, that's remarkable. Dan Armijo just called a replay there.
I'm not sure what Dan saw there. Dave's right. Dave really keeping his cool here. We haven't seen that this year as much as we're used to seeing, but Dave really maintaining his cool here. That was a terrible call against him. Dave actually had Sean on his right. There was no screen. There was no hinder. That ball cracked out. Sean had to play at it, and he just couldn't make it.
Now, in some of these past tournaments, we've seen Dave just step out of the court and go ballistic with the referee, but he's not doing it here. That's because he needs 2 points to go to the finals. Here's the setup. That ball slid over there on that left wall. No call. Unfortunately for Dave Chapman, that would have been the final point.
Well, you never know when you're,
That's true.
If you're serving at 10, how the point would have gone, but certainly he's happy to find himself serving for the match right now.
This is possible game and match. 10, serve 6.
Serve 6.
Dave going back to that 3 wall. It's going to set up for Sean. Oh, boy, Dave just got enough on that ball.
Hinder ball. And a hit you.
And a bad bounce off that back wall. You can almost hear it from here.
Surprised Dave had a back wall look. He sent that ball around 3 walls and gave Sean a setup there.
But I'm also surprised that Dave let that go to the back wall. I mean, he knew it was going to be tough. He could have tried to take that out of the air. Instead, he went to the back wall. He knew it was going to be difficult, and he just flipped it up there.
Well, Dave saw that ball take off when it hit the floor. Sean threw a big hook on that ball. He didn't want any part of it. He wanted to let that back wall.
Here it is, 10 serve 6. 1 point away from facing Paul Brady in the finals. There it is. Dave Chapman now returns to the United States Handball Association's 4-wall National Handball Championships, and there's about as much emotion as you get from Dave after winning a tournament, raising his hand and pointing to the crowd as if to say, thank you very much. We're going to do something that we're oh so familiar with, you and I, as he says to the crowd, are going to be in the finals tomorrow. Dave Chapman now in his 13th finals appearance. This will be, he's won 8 national championships.
We'll await Gene Casamoto for the official word on this, but certainly he's been in double-digit finals.
Double-digit finals. Dave Chapman closing out this tiebreaker. The score 11-6. Now facing the gunner from Ireland, Paul Brady, in the matchup that has seen Paul Brady get the best of Dave at the Ultimate Handball Showdown in 2004, the big tournament where Paul won the cash. So we'll see what happens here with Dave Chapman and Paul Brady from the Los Caballeros Sports Village, Fountain Valley, California, for the United States Handball Association's 4-wall National Handball Championships. For Kelly Green, Gene Casamoto, Jeff Castor, and Dave Fink, we're going to say goodbye for now. We'll be back with more handball action coming up. You stay here at ushandball.org.